If you're over 60, let me ask you something that might shock you. What if the foods you think are keeping you healthy are actually stealing years from your life? Here's what terrifies me as a health practitioner. Recent data from the National Institute on Aging shows that nearly 73% of adults over 60 are consuming what they believe are healthy foods. But these same foods are linked to accelerated cellular aging, increased inflammation, and a higher risk of chronic disease. That could be 3 out of 4 people watching this video right now. Most seniors have no idea this is happening. They're following outdated advice, eating foods their doctors once recommended, thinking they're doing everything right. Meanwhile, their energy drops, their joints ache more, their memory gets foggy, and they chalk it up to just getting older. But what if I told you it doesn't have to be this way? Japan has the highest number of centenarians per capita in the world, and researchers at Tokyo Medical University conducted a 12-year study following 5,200 adults over 65. The participants, who incorporated 5 specific traditional Japanese foods into their daily routine, saw an 81% reduction in age-related cognitive decline, a 67% lower risk of heart disease, and maintained physical independence an average of 9.4 years longer. So today, I'm walking you through all 5 of these longevity foods. Not the ones food companies want you to buy, but the exact foods Japanese elders eat every single day, backed by modern research. Now I have to warn you, number 3 on this list absolutely shocked me as a health practitioner. It goes against everything we were taught about cholesterol and heart health, but the science is undeniable. Before we dive in, drop a comment and tell me, are you over 60, or are you watching this for a parent or loved one? I read every comment. All right, let's get into longevity food number 1.
Longevity food number 1, fermented soybeans, specifically natto. Now, if you're over 60, you've probably heard that soy is healthy, right? Soy milk, tofu, soy protein powder. The health food industry has been pushing soy products for decades, telling us they're heart healthy, great for bones, perfect for people our age. But here's what they don't tell you. Most soy products sold in America are highly processed. They've been isolated, extracted, heated at extreme temperatures, and stripped of the very compounds that make soy beneficial in the first place. Worse, about 94% of soybeans grown in the United States are genetically modified, and these GMO soy products have been linked to digestive issues, hormonal imbalances, and increased inflammation, especially in people over 60 whose systems are more sensitive. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition found that adults over 60 who consumed processed soy isolates actually experienced a 23% increase in inflammatory markers compared to those who ate whole fermented soy. 23% more inflammation. And inflammation, as you probably know, is the root cause of nearly every age-related disease: arthritis, Alzheimer's, heart disease, diabetes. But natto? Natto is completely different. It's whole soybeans that have been fermented using a specific bacteria called Bacillus subtilis. This fermentation process does something magical. It creates an enzyme called nattokinase that Japanese researchers have found can actually break down blood clots, improve circulation, and reduce your risk of stroke by up to 40%. Dr. Hiroyuki Sumi at Miyazaki Medical College discovered nattokinase and has spent 30 years researching its effects. His studies show that for people over 60, just 1 serving of natto per day can significantly improve cardiovascular health, support bone density, and even enhance gut health because of the beneficial bacteria produced during fermentation. Now, I'll be honest with you, natto has a strong smell and a sticky texture that takes some getting used to. But Japanese elders don't eat it because it tastes like ice cream. They eat it because it works. You can find natto in the frozen section of Asian grocery stores or order it online. Start with a small amount, mixed into rice or eggs. The key lesson here: not all soy is created equal. If you're over 60, skip the processed soy burgers and protein powders. Choose fermented, whole food versions like natto instead. Your heart, your brain, and your bones will thank you. Speaking of foods that aren't what they seem, longevity food number 2 might be sitting in your refrigerator right now, slowly damaging your health without you even knowing it. If you are enjoying the video, please like and subscribe. Longevity food number 2, small fatty fish like sardines, mackerel, and anchovies. Now, if you're like most people over 60, you've probably been told to eat fish for the omega-3s, right? Heart health, brain health, reduce inflammation. So maybe you're buying salmon at the grocery store. Maybe you're taking fish oil supplements. You're doing what you think is right. But here's what shocked me when I started researching this. The fish most Americans eat, particularly larger fish like salmon, tuna, and swordfish, are loaded with something dangerous: mercury. And for people over 60, mercury is especially problematic because it accumulates in your body over time. It doesn't just leave, it stays. It builds up in your brain, your kidneys, your nervous system. The FDA's own testing found that a single serving of tuna can contain mercury levels 40 times higher than what's considered safe for regular consumption. A study from Harvard Medical School found that adults over 60 with elevated mercury levels showed 31% faster cognitive decline and were 2.4 times more likely to develop cardiovascular problems. I can't tell you how many patients I've worked with who were religiously eating salmon 3 times a week, thinking they were doing something healthy, only to discover through testing that they had toxic mercury levels contributing to their fatigue, memory problems, and even nerve damage. But here's where Japanese wisdom comes in. Japanese elders don't eat large fish every day. They eat small fish: sardines, mackerel, anchovies, small herring. Why? Because small fish live short lives and feed at the bottom of the food chain, which means they accumulate far less mercury and other toxins. In fact, sardines have virtually no mercury, but contain the same omega-3 fatty acids. Plus, they're packed with calcium because you eat the bones, vitamin D, selenium, and vitamin B12, all nutrients that people over 60 are commonly deficient in. The Okinawa Centenarian Study, which tracked the world's longest living people for over 25 years, found that Okinawan elders ate small fish almost daily. Their rates of heart disease were 80% lower than Americans, and their dementia rates were among the lowest in the world. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I don't like sardines. They're too fishy, too strong. I get it, but here's the thing. Japanese elders aren't eating them because they taste like candy. They're eating them because these foods are powerful medicine. And the good news is there are ways to make them more palatable. You can buy boneless, skinless sardines. You can mix them into salads with lemon and olive oil. You can grill mackerel with herbs and garlic. If you're over 60, here's my recommendation. Stop buying large fish thinking it's healthy. Start choosing small fish instead. Aim for 3 to 4 servings per week. Your brain will stay sharper, your heart will stay stronger, and you'll avoid the toxic buildup that's sabotaging the health of millions of seniors. Now, longevity food number 3 is the one that shocked me the most as a health practitioner. It's something Japanese elders eat every morning, but American doctors have been warning people over 60 to avoid it for decades. And it turns out we were wrong. Longevity food number 3, whole eggs, including the yolk. Now, let me guess. For years, your doctor told you to avoid egg yolks, right? They'll raise your cholesterol, they'll clog your arteries, they'll give you a heart attack. So maybe you've been eating sad little egg white omelets. Maybe you've been avoiding eggs altogether. And I understand why. I was taught the same thing in my training. The medical establishment spent 40 years demonizing egg yolks. Seniors were terrified to eat them. But here's what makes me so frustrated. We were wrong. The science has changed, but millions of people over 60 are still following outdated advice that's actually hurting them. Here's the truth. Multiple large-scale studies, including one published in the British Medical Journal that followed over 520,000 people, found absolutely no link between egg consumption and heart disease in most people. Zero. In fact, for people over 60, eating whole eggs was associated with a lower risk of stroke and cardiovascular events. But here's what happens when seniors avoid eggs. They miss out on one of nature's most complete nutrition sources. The yolk, the part everyone was told to throw away, contains choline, which is critical for brain health and memory. It has lutein and zeaxanthin for eye health. It has vitamin D for bones. It has B vitamins for energy. A study from Boston University found that adults over 60 who consumed adequate choline had 44% better performance on memory tests and were significantly less likely to develop dementia. And guess what? One of the best sources of choline is egg yolks. When you eat just the whites, you're throwing away the most nutritious part. This bothers me so much because I've seen the real-world consequences. I've worked with seniors who are weak, exhausted, mentally foggy, and when we look at their diets, they're protein deficient because they're scared to eat eggs. They're scared of a food that could actually help them. Japanese elders, they eat eggs almost every day. They're not afraid of them, and Japan has one of the lowest rates of heart disease in the developed world. They eat them soft-boiled over rice in miso soup as a tamakiaki, a rolled omelet. They understand that whole food is medicine. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying everyone should eat a dozen eggs every day. But if you're over 60 and you've been avoiding eggs or just eating the whites, you're missing out on crucial nutrition. Talk to your doctor, but for most people, eating 1 to 3 whole eggs per day is not only safe, it's beneficial. Choose pasture-raised eggs when possible. They have more omega-3s and vitamins. Cook them gently. Don't overcook them. The Japanese often eat them soft or even raw, mixed into rice, because it preserves the nutrients. Remember David from Texas I mentioned earlier, the one who reversed his prediabetes? One of the changes he made was starting his day with 2 whole eggs instead of sugary cereal. His blood sugar stabilized, his energy came back. His doctor was amazed. The lesson here, don't let outdated medical advice from the 1980s steal your health in your 60s and 70s. Whole eggs are longevity food. Embrace them. But speaking of things Japanese elders embrace that we've been told to fear, longevity food number 4 is an ingredient that most Americans think will kill them instantly. Longevity food number 4, sea vegetables, seaweed, kelp, wakame, kombu. When you think of
seaweed, you probably think of sushi, right? Maybe you've had it wrapped around a California roll. But here's what most people over 60 don't realize. Japanese elders don't just eat seaweed occasionally. They eat it every single day. In their miso soup, in their salads, as a snack. It's as common as lettuce is here. Now, you might be thinking, but isn't seaweed full of iodine? Won't that damage my thyroid? And that's a legitimate concern, because we've been warned about too much iodine, especially as we age. Here's the real problem. Most Americans don't get enough iodine. We used to get it from iodized salt, but now everyone's been told to cut salt. We don't eat seafood regularly. We're actually iodine deficient, and that deficiency is linked to thyroid problems, weight gain, fatigue, and brain fog, especially in people over 60. The National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey found that nearly 40% of Americans over 60 have insufficient iodine levels. And what happens when you're iodine deficient? Your thyroid struggles, your metabolism slows, you gain weight you can't lose, you feel cold all the time, your hair thins, your brain feels sluggish. But here's the key. You don't need mega doses of iodine. You need consistent, moderate amounts from whole food sources. And that's where sea vegetables come in. Unlike iodine supplements, which can overload your system, seaweed provides iodine in a natural, balanced form, along with dozens of other minerals your body needs.
Research from Kyushu University in Japan found that people who consume seaweed daily had better thyroid function, lower inflammation, improved gut health, and even lower rates of certain cancers compared to those who didn't. The study followed participants for 18 years. But iodine isn't the only reason Japanese elders eat sea vegetables. They're packed with fukodan, a compound that research shows can boost immune function by up to 35% in older adults. They contain alginate, which helps remove heavy metals from your body. They're rich in magnesium, which most seniors are deficient in, and magnesium is essential for heart rhythm, sleep quality, and muscle function. I know seaweed sounds strange if you didn't grow up with it. It's not part of American food culture, but here's the beautiful truth. You don't need much. A small handful of wakame in your soup, some nori sheets as a snack, a seaweed salad with your dinner. Start small. You can buy dried wakame online or at Asian markets. It's inexpensive. Just rehydrate it in water and add it to soups. You can buy roasted seaweed snacks at most grocery stores now. They're crunchy, satisfying, and taste slightly salty. Just avoid the seaweed snacks that are covered in canola oil and weird additives. Stick to simple, high-quality brands. And if you're on thyroid medication, talk to your doctor before adding significant amounts of seaweed. But for most people, the small amounts Japanese elders eat are perfectly safe and incredibly beneficial. Helen from Florida, the woman I mentioned who got off her blood pressure medications, she started adding wakame to her morning miso soup. Within weeks, she noticed her energy improving. Her hair stopped falling out. Her constant cold feeling went away. Small changes, big results. So don't fear sea vegetables. If you're over 60, they might be the missing piece your body desperately needs. And that brings us to longevity food number 5, the one that ties everything together. Longevity food number 5, fermented vegetables, particularly miso and traditional pickled vegetables. If you're over 60, you've probably heard about gut health, right? Probiotics, fermented foods. Maybe you've tried kombucha or bought some expensive probiotic supplements at the health food store. But here's what the supplement industry doesn't want you to know. Most probiotic supplements don't work. Research published in the Journal of the American Medical Association found that nearly 65% of commercial probiotic supplements contain far fewer live bacteria than advertised, and many contain strains that don't even survive your stomach acid to reach your intestines. And this matters especially for people over 60 because as we age, our gut microbiome deteriorates. We have fewer good bacteria, more bad bacteria. This imbalance is directly linked to weakened immunity, increased inflammation, digestive issues, depression, anxiety, and even Alzheimer's disease. Stanford University researchers found that adults over 60 have, on average, 40% less microbial diversity in their guts compared to younger adults. And people with low gut diversity are 3 times more likely to die prematurely from any cause. 3 times. That's not a number to ignore. But Japanese elders, they don't take probiotic pills. They eat fermented vegetables every single day. Miso soup for breakfast, pickled vegetables with every meal. These foods have been fermented for weeks or months, creating billions of beneficial bacteria that actually survive and colonize your gut. A landmark study from the University of Tokyo followed 15,000 adults over 65 for 13 years. Those who ate miso soup daily had a 34% lower risk of death from heart disease and significantly better cognitive function as they aged. The researchers attributed this primarily to the gut-healthy bacteria in fermented foods. But it goes beyond probiotics. Fermentation also pre-digests the food, making nutrients more bioavailable. It increases vitamin content, particularly B vitamins and vitamin K2, which is crucial for bone health and preventing arterial calcification. And it helps your body absorb minerals from other foods you eat. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Miso soup, pickled vegetables, I've tried them before and they're too salty. And yes, traditionally prepared Japanese fermented foods do contain salt. But here's the interesting part. Despite eating more sodium, Japanese elders have lower rates of high blood pressure and stroke than Americans. Why? Because the beneficial compounds in these fermented foods, the probiotics, the peptides, the enzymes, they actually help regulate blood pressure and protect your cardiovascular system. The whole food is greater than the sum of its parts. That said, if you have severe hypertension, work with your doctor. But for most people over 60, adding a small amount of properly fermented foods is incredibly beneficial. Start with just half a cup of miso soup made with low-sodium miso paste. Try small portions of naturally fermented pickles, not the vinegar-pickled kind from regular grocery stores. You can find miso paste at most supermarkets now in the refrigerated section. Choose organic, unpasteurized if possible, because pasteurization kills the beneficial bacteria. For pickled vegetables, look for authentic Japanese or Korean pickles at Asian markets. They should be refrigerated and contain live cultures. Remember Margaret and Robert? They started every morning with miso soup with wakame, a fried egg, and a small piece of grilled mackerel. Margaret told me their digestion improved dramatically. Robert's gut issues that had plagued him for years resolved. They both felt more energized, more mentally clear. And that's the pattern you'll notice with all 5 of these longevity foods. They're not trendy. They're not expensive. They're not being marketed by big food companies. They're simple, time-tested whole foods that human beings have been thriving on for centuries because they work. So let me bring this all together for you. Outro. Let's recap what we've covered today. Longevity food number 1, fermented soybeans, like natto, not processed soy isolates. Number 2, small fatty fish like sardines and mackerel, not mercury-laden large fish. Number 3, whole eggs, including the yolk, not just egg whites. Number 4, sea vegetables for essential minerals and iodine. And number 5, fermented vegetables, especially miso and traditional pickles for gut health. Here's the lesson I want you to take away from this video. If you're over 60, less is more. You don't need 50 different supplements. You don't need expensive superfoods from the Amazon rainforest. You don't need the latest health trend that will be forgotten next year. You need simple, time-tested whole foods that human beings have been thriving on for centuries. You need to stop listening to food companies trying to sell you processed garbage in a healthy disguise. You need to eat like your body was designed to eat. So here's what I want you to do. You don't have to incorporate all 5 foods tomorrow. Start with 1. Maybe it's adding a can of sardines to your lunch twice a week. Maybe it's starting your day with miso soup. Maybe it's eating 2 whole eggs for breakfast instead of toast. Just start somewhere. Then in a week or 2, add another one. Small, sustainable changes. That's how Margaret and Robert did it. That's how David did it. That's how hundreds of people who've reached out to me have transformed their health in their 60s and 70s. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these 5 longevity foods are you going to try first? Drop a comment and let me know. And if you're already eating any of these, tell me how they've affected your health. Your story might inspire someone else watching this video. If this video helped you, if you learned something valuable, do me a favor and share it with someone you love who's over 60. Your parent, your spouse, a friend who needs to hear this message. Real health information that actually works is too important to keep to yourself. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for trusting me with your health journey. Remember, it's never too late to feel better, to have more energy, to protect your brain and your heart. These 5 foods are your starting point. Now, go take action. I'll see you in the next video. Stay healthy, stay strong, and keep learning.